The best time to start a Mars working is when it is Tuesday, the planetary hour of Mars, and when Mars is in Aries or Scorpio. There's two ways to do a Mars working. One is with a planetary square. The other is by drawing down the energy and programming it. There's different ways to draw down the energy. One way is to just imagine a steady stream of red energy coming from the planet to you, and then imagining it filling up your aura or your light body or your aura and light body. Another method is what I call the heavenly light method, is to just imagine the stream of energy coming from Mars hits a portal. So it doesn't have to stream all the way to you. It has to travel a short distance, and then it is immediately above you and comes down to you, kind of like a ray of sunshine is beaming directly on you, but it's the Mars energy, and it's like this cylinder around you, and it comes down and you can absorb that. Another method that is also good to use with fixed stars is to just imagine the energy all around you instantly, like at the same time that the energy is at its own place. It's kind of like you and the planet or the star are in the same place. And this is like bending time and space, and you just absorb that. So it's like you're imagining you're already inside of it, because we're bending time and space here with our mind. It's like the energy doesn't really follow the same rules as the physical. It's clearly at a higher frequency, and that is what makes this possible. That method was actually given to me by one of my guides, so it might be a little difficult to do. It's kind of, I guess, if you are already attuned with the energy, it's a lot easier, because you can just imagine that you are inside of it, and it's kind of like it is you and you are it kind of thing, but it's like you're just etherically bending time and space. When we become adept at energy generation and mindset synchronization, this is kind of the way that it works. We synchronize our pathing with that of the planetary energy or the star energy or a person, and we generate the same kind of energy. So we don't even have to take or have it be temporary, because we are establishing a binary link between us and the concept. Our spirit is our consciousness, and the concept is whatever other is able to create on its own. It is the influence of our creation. We create through friction, and that results in anything, an infinite possibility. So when we connect that with something, or when we limit that to something that is of like a planet or a star or a rune, we create within those parameters. And that is when we are fully aligned with the energy at a soul level, that we can just create it ourselves without having to tune into anything, because we are already tuned. It's like an electric piano that you can tune to make any sound. Of course, this is with programming, but it's very similar. You're changing the way that the sound manifests in reality when it is played. When we activate our will, our capabilities change based on the tuning. Our soul is the instrument, and our consciousness is the tuner, player, and programmer. Here are the planetary squares for Mars. On the top, That is the spiritual version. So that's like if you want to create and you start at 15 and you end at 11. On the bottom, we have the material version. That's when you want to use stuff that is already existing and it's like a material pursuit. There's a difference between spiritual pursuit and material pursuit. The spiritual pursuit is going to actually help more with your chakras. The material pursuit is going to help more with like gaining material success. The spiritual method can be used to gain material success, but the material method is like not really like a shortcut, but it's faster because it's like probably going to help you realize what you already have instead of trying to create more. Because when we spiritually advance ourselves, we're not really advancing ourselves just to be powerful. We are advancing ourselves so we can obtain what we want and correct things in life and the universe, which is still what we want. If we want peace, that's what we want. If we want order, that's a desire. Each square on the Mars square represents one day. There are 25 squares for 25 days. The number in the square marks the amount of reps you need to do for that day. You should not miss a day or else you have to restart the entire working. For a spiritual square, I would start my first day with 15 reps, and then the next day, 2 reps. With the material square, I would start my first day with 3 reps, and then the next day, 16 reps. Using mala beads, like a necklace or a bracelet, or a counter, like a digital counter on your phone, can help you keep track of count, because it's also important to not mess up the reps when doing this. With enough willpower, you might be able to correct if you make a mistake on the rep count. If you go over, you might be able to correct that by canceling the extra reps with your willpower. This is the long version of the Mars mantra. Aum Ra Am Rim Raum Sau Bvaumaya Nama. Or for the spiritual pursuit, Svaha. The short version, Aum Bvaumaya Nama, or Svaha. When forming your affirmation, keep in mind that Mars rules a lot of the things that astrology says that it rules. When you are doing the planetary square, you are working with the energy that is able to harness and manipulate the likeness of Mars within you and others and the environment. So, here are the ritual rulerships. We have athletic strength, if you want to improve your performance. Competition, it can make you more competitive. Ambition, make you want things more and go for it more. This is action-taking energy. Passion, energy, increasing the energy that you have to spend, like increasing your expendable energy. Adventures, it makes things more exciting. It adds intensity. Male relations, This is like increasing like basic social masculine relationships, but it's more like increasing the relationship with your father, your brothers, your male friends, men in general. The Mars holds the energy of men. Vitality. This especially happens when you combine the Mars energy with Sun energy. So if you're doing a Mars square and a Sun square, you can combine them to make it good for vitality. And then kleos. Kleos is the ancient Greek word for fame or renown. So it kind of means glory in battle, because when people would die in a certain way, or they would accomplish a victory in a certain way that would take sacrifice or courage, they would receive kleos. So they would get really famous for what they did. Too much Martian energy can be bad for the brain and cause high blood pressure. Mars rules blood circulation. When Mars is used to heal, you are bringing the energy of war inside your body. But this is in a positive way for you. Anything that is not supposed to be there, you can use Mars energy to get it out, to accelerate its removal, or accelerate its circulation. Mars rules speed, cuts, fire, and force. We have machines that simulate these forces for us. So imagine those machines working on your body at a chemical level, and then imagine that they are basically invisible. That's like Mars magic. And you don't need to see it as magic. You can see it as biokinesis or guided biokinesis. When using affirmation, you should be specific. You don't want to put a lot of energy into a broad amount of things regarding your body, because then you might not be putting enough energy into the specific body part or function that you want to heal. Some things take longer to heal, like bones and teeth. So if you are doubting your healing magic, know that there are variables to this. On top of the affirmation, you should also visualize yourself healthy. Visualize yourself free of whatever you're trying to free yourself from. You can see the theme here. A Mars square is going to work on improving your chances at getting common employment, but also your performance in certain types of jobs like athletics, military, anything that involves cutting and making weapons of war and making blades, like making the swords and stuff. This is another example of Mars energy being used to heal. Even if you're doing psychic surgery, you're going to need a bit of Mars energy ingrained in your soul to be very proficient at the cuts and the focus and the dislodging of different material and the working with the sharp tools. That's all Mars energy. Forming your psychic energy into a sharp tool and then using it for psychic surgery is of Mars energy. When you do a planetary square, you automatically work on the position that planet is in your natal chart. So if Mars is in your 8th house, then expect a change in your sex life. Even if you're not directing it to change your sex life, it will still change and influence that part of your life. If you have 6th house Aries or 6th house Scorpio, expect a change in your work life and personal health. and personal health habits, like your things that rule the sixth house. Expect a change in that area of life. Some things you might want to look into are thaumaturgy and theurgy. So with this type of planetary magic, you're able to basically change your natal chart. And it's going to be active. Like, you're not going to be the same person. And in your next life's natal chart is going to depend on the magic that you did in this life, as well as the choices that you've made. When we do magic, we accelerate the process of transitions of energy. So whatever is happening in our life, we can expedite that. And we have to have a bit of tact when we're doing this sort of thing, because we can mess up. It's good to be guided. It's good to know what you're doing and make sure you're guiding the energy in the way that benefits you. If you're good at astrology and electional astrology, then you can use that foresight to tell if you need to do a certain ritual to offset negative influences that the stars and planets are bringing you. Doing the Mars square empowers your sacral chakra, so you can use it specifically to empower your sacral chakra. It also empowers the Mars in your natal chart, so that energy will change, and basically it's like you're going from someone who has a weak Mars and it shows, to someone who has a strong Mars and it will show. You might have a debilitated Mars if your Mars is natally in Libra, Cancer, or Taurus. Mars is strong in Aries, Scorpio, and Capricorn. But if there is a negative aspect that is weakening your Mars, then you would do this ritual to strengthen it. My experiences with the Mars mantra and the Mars planetary square were more confidence. More confidence, less hesitant, a change in demeanor, a change in the way I socialize. Temporary if I didn't really complete the spell. The more I dedicated to completing like a 40-day working or a full planetary square, the more the energy would linger. So there is a different way that you can do this. You can do a 40-day working where you're not really doing the square. You're doing 40 days of the Mars mantra itself. And that will generate the energy within your soul. That can be for 40 days or a different power number, like 14 days, 7 days, 9 days. Use your intuition to find out how many days you need, or you can use your logic. Another thing that it helped me with was fighting ability. This would help someone in the physical, but since I don't like train for anything, I mostly see the results in the astral. So if there's like an astral entity trying to attack you, you have a better chance of fighting back because you've built up fighting power within you. You built up the potential to fight within you. So instead of being scared and like running away, like you just saw a scary ghost, you're able to just like hold your ground and fight back. Since Mars rules the element of fire, it also helps you generate and manipulate astral fire. And it would help with pyrokinesis if that is something that you want to train. Like, you can train pyrokinesis in the physical, but this requires you to be very strong. Your soul has to be strong and your power of will needs to be strong. Specifically, your feet chakras and your hand chakras need to be fully open and empowered so you can circulate the energy. Using the Mars mantra can also help you control and generate fire in the astral. And this can help you train your pyrokinetic abilities. Something to keep in mind is when you want to unlock pyrokinesis, you should first unlock the ability to extinguish the flame. This requires a considerable amount of psychic energy. Your soul has to be strong, your chakras need to be open, and you have to be able to circulate energy through your feet and hand chakras.